Ever feel like history class just kind of skimmed over the good stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Today, we're diving deep into the world of the Vikings.
Oh, exciting.
And trust me,
Yeah.
it's way more interesting than just, horn helmets and stuff.
Right, right. It's always more than just the stereotype, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we've got this stack of sources here on Viking culture.
Mm.
And honestly, it can feel like a lot.
Oh, absolutely. It can be overwhelming. Yeah, where do you even begin, right?
Yeah.
That's the beauty of these deep dives, though, right? We get to sift through the details together and uncover the really fascinating stuff, the good stuff, just like you said.
Exactly. So to start, let's set the scene. We're talking Viking Age, roughly late 8th to early 11th century.
Okay.
These folks hailed from Scandinavia, so Norway, Sweden, Denmark.
Right.
And yeah, they were known for their raids across Europe, but your sources paint a much more, nuanced picture, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. To truly get the Vikings, really understand them, you got to go beyond that whole fierce raider thing.
Right.
Appreciate the nuance, the complexity of their civilization. It's not just, ooh, scary Vikings coming to get you.
Yeah.
There's depth there.
Okay, so you've got all these sources on Viking mythology. Yeah. What I find striking is, their creation story.
Yeah.
With Ginnungagap, that icy void, right?
Right, right.
And the giant Ymir.
It's powerful imagery, isn't it?
It is, and it reflects this acceptance of a world where chaos and order are just intertwined. It wasn't just some story, it shaped their whole worldview. What are your thoughts on that?
It's crucial. This wasn't just some ancient myth to them. It was how they understood the forces, the forces at play in their lives in the world.
Yeah.
This idea of chaos and order, like you said, always kind of butting heads, but even being necessary for creation. That permeates so much of Viking belief.
Right. You see it in their reverence for nature, their understanding of the cycles of life and death even.
Right. Oh, absolutely.
Speaking of which, that section on Yggdrasil, the world tree, I found that fascinating.
Sure, yeah.
You've got the 9 realms, including Midgard, which is our world,
right,
all connected by this massive tree.
Yeah.
Powerful image.
It's an amazing image. And for them, it wasn't just symbolic, it was deeply connected to the natural world, to this larger cosmos where everything was linked. And it goes beyond just the physical world, too. It's about their relationship with the gods.
Right. The gods. We'll dive into that pantheon a bit later. But I have to say, the story of Odin sacrificing his eye for wisdom at Mimir's world.
Oh, yeah.
Talk about dedication.
That's Odin, always striving for knowledge. Each god, each story reveals something about Viking values. Like Odin with wisdom, Thor, protection. It all ties into their lives.
Their lives, their code of honor even.
Exactly.
Speaking of daily life, I think it's easy to picture Vikings always at sea, raiding, pillaging, all that.
Right. The popular image.
But these sources paint a different picture. For the majority of Vikings, what was daily life actually like?
For most, it was a lot more, literally grounded.
Okay.
The majority were farmers, fishermen, craftspeople.
Really?
Yeah, they lived in these long houses, often with extended family, and their lives revolved around the seasons.
Wow. So not all epic battles and voyages then?
We'll get to those. But yeah, daily life for many was about tending crops, caring for animals, creating things.
Yeah, that brings up their craftsmanship, which in itself seems like a testament to their patience, resilience, don't you think?
It's amazing. Their craftsmanship reflects so much of their worldview.
Oh, how so?
Well, you see these intricate carvings on everyday objects, the detail in their metalwork. It's like they found beauty and meaning in the everyday, even facing a pretty harsh environment. It's this juxtaposition that we see throughout their culture,
Oh, that's interesting. It's that ability to find beauty amidst hardship. That's what gets me. And their environment, especially in Scandinavia, that wasn't always easy living, right?
No, not at all. Long winters, and the growing seasons were rough. They had to be resourceful, adaptable to survive. And you see that in their social structures, too, how they emphasized community.
Right, yeah.
Like you said earlier, those long houses, often with extended family altogether, that wasn't just practical, it was about survival.
Yeah, it makes sense. You need all hands on deck when things get tough. But it wasn't all just hard work all the time, was it? They had to have some fun, too, right?
Oh, absolutely. The sources mentioned feasts, storytelling, games. And remember that craftsmanship we were talking about?
Yeah.
That wasn't just for, practical stuff. They made beautiful jewelry, intricate carvings. These were people who appreciated artistry. They found joy in creativity.
Which brings us to, I think, a really interesting point. The whole Viking code of honor.
Yeah.
What your sources call Ginnungagap.
Yes, Ginnungagap.
And it wasn't just about being a fierce warrior. It was bigger than that. Can you unpack that a bit?
Yeah, Ginnungagap, it was central to how they lived, how they saw the world and interacted with it.
Okay.
It was courage, loyalty, generosity, even like a sense of humor, especially when things were rough.
Wow.
Yeah, think of it as a code, emphasizing personal responsibility, having a strong moral compass, even when times were tough.
It's interesting, though, because this Ginnungagap, or this idea that you can shape your own destiny, it seems at odds with another big theme in their beliefs, which is fate.
Right.
Your sources talk about the Norns, those mythical figures who determined everyone's destiny.
The weavers of fate.
Yeah. So how did they reconcile those two seemingly conflicting ideas?
Well, that's where their storytelling, particularly the sagas, gets really insightful.
Okay.
They didn't see fate as something that just happened to them. It was something to be reckoned with, to be challenged even. Think about those heroes in the sagas. They might know their fate, but they meet it head on with courage, with cunning, and never wavering from that code of honor we were just talking about.
So it's not passive acceptance.
No, I don't know it at all.
It's about meeting fate on your own terms.
Exactly.
Making choices that, even if the outcome's already decided, those choices, they reflect your values.
Right.
It's a really powerful concept.
It is. It speaks to a certain, stoicism in their worldview, I think, that willingness to face whatever comes, but also that determination to stay true to yourself in the process.
Which makes me think about the Viking pantheon. Their gods. We've touched on Odin, Thor.
Of course, yeah.
But there are so many more, each with their own personality, their own domain.
Mm-hmm.
And what I find fascinating is how they reflect this blend of strength and vulnerability.
Yeah.
This acceptance of life's complex.
Hey there, time travelers. I wanted to take a couple of seconds to say hi. My name is Ronnie Perez, and I'm the creative director behind the 10-Minute Time Machine podcast. I actually started this podcast as a way to help my daughter learn about history in a fun and engaging way, and I think our hosts definitely do that. I have a passion for teaching kids, teens, and young adults about the past. There's something so powerful about understanding all these cultures and stories and myths and legends and historical events. I hold 2 college degrees, one in ancient history, one in religion, and I'm committed to making sure that every episode is rooted in solid, peer-reviewed, college-level research. It's important to me that we don't just tell stories, which, by the way, are fantastic, these myths of different cultures and legends and historical figures, but that we share the knowledge responsibly, and that it's both accurate and accessible to listeners of a young age, as well as teens and young adults. So I hope you enjoy the podcast. I hope you find it interesting. I hope you learn something. All right, let's get back to the show.
Cities.
Yeah. Exactly. Take Freyja, for instance.
Right.
Goddess of love, beauty, fertility. Right. But also war and death. She embodies that duality you see everywhere in Viking culture. That embrace of the light and the shadow. They didn't shy away from the harsher sides of life. They wove them into their understanding of the world.
It's like those intricate carvings you mentioned, right?
Yeah.
You have these fierce warriors, but with details that are almost delicate. It's that blend of strength, artistry. It feels so important to understanding who they were.
It's everywhere in their culture. And where it really comes through? Their views on gender roles. Which, by the way, might surprise some people.
You're talking about how, Viking women had so much more agency than in most cultures back then.
Exactly. They managed households, owned property, could even, get this, initiate divorce.
Oh.
Unheard of in so many places at that time. And this wasn't some niche thing. Your sources make it clear.
Mm-hmm.
Women, their roles were vital to how Viking society functioned.
We get those old stories of damsels in distress, huh?
Right. And then you have the warrior women of their mythology, the Valkyries.
Oh, yeah.
Deciding who lives, who dies on the battlefield, escorting the slain to Valhalla. These weren't just side characters, They embodied this fierce, powerful femininity that was celebrated, not hidden away.
It really challenges our, default image of the Vikings, doesn't it?
It does.
They were warriors, yes, but there's so much more beneath the surface.
Absolutely. And to really get that depth, we have to talk about their art, their storytelling. Because the Vikings, they were master storytellers. Their sagas, poems, even their visual art, it wasn't just about aesthetics, about something pretty to look at. It was about keeping their history alive, their values, their beliefs, passing those down.
And we're talking about epic poems, right? Recited by skalds.
Yeah.
And they were poets, just a quick definition there.
Yeah.
But also, those carvings on the rune stones, those massive stones inscribed with runes, their written language.
It's incredible.
Even their ships. Their weapons, not just functional, but works of art. It's amazing.
Yeah.
What can you tell us about all that? It's like every little thing, every detail tells a story, from the sagas right down to the smallest carving.
Exactly. And those stories, they weren't kept to themselves either. The Vikings, they were incredible traders, explorers too.
Right.
I mean, your sources mention their ships reaching the British Isles, Constantinople even further. And these voyages, it wasn't just about grabbing treasure and running back home.
No, definitely not. We can't forget those ships. Those long ships were, they were like technological marvels back then.
Yeah.
Capable of navigating, rivers in open ocean?
Exactly. They were master shipbuilders, no question.
Yeah.
And they put those skills to use for more than just raiding, you know? Think about how far their trade routes actually went. It's mind-blowing. And they weren't just, taking stuff. They were bringing back new goods, new ideas, even architectural styles that then, get this, they influenced Scandinavian society.
It shows how adaptable they were, open to new ideas and stuff. They were exchanging, learning, evolving.
Right.
And don't forget those voyages to Iceland, Greenland, even North America.
Oh, absolutely. Feats of navigation, survival. Imagine just setting sail, open ocean, just the stars to guide you and your own skills. It speaks to their courage, resilience, that drive to push the boundaries, see what's out there.
That's what gets me. It's like this need to explore, to see how far they could go, to, I don't know, test themselves maybe. But even for the Vikings, good things, they don't last forever.
Yeah.
Right? What finally happened? Why did the Viking Age end?
It's not like one thing happened. It was gradual, lots of factors coming together. Your sources talk about the rise of some pretty powerful Christian kingdoms across Europe. And at the same time, you had this consolidation of power going on within Scandinavia.
So changing world, both outside and inside their home, basically.
Yeah.
How did they handle that kind of transition?
Same way they always did, adapting. But one of the biggest changes had to be the conversion to Christianity.
Oh, right, yeah.
It started slow, but by the late 10th century, it's a major force, changing Viking society from the inside out.
Makes you wonder how that shift in belief, from their old gods to Christianity, how that changed their worldview, their art, their whole identity even.
It's complicated. You've got some folks saying Christianity, it softened them, made them less, I don't know, fierce, I guess, while others see it more as a blending. The old ways, the old gods, they didn't just disappear overnight,
Right.
But however it happened, the Viking Age, at least how we define it, that drew to a close.
But their legacy, that's something else. It's still here, isn't it? We're still talking about them, making movies about them, reading their stories centuries later. What is it about Vikings that still gets to us?
I think it's that mix we've been talking about. Strength, and, I don't know, a kind of sensitivity, brutality mixed with this amazing artistry. They were complicated, capable of incredible things, both good and, well, not so good, but driven by this hunger for knowledge, glory, to really live. I think they remind us that history, it's never simple. And the most interesting stories, well, they're the ones that don't fit neatly into a box.
It's like they represent this spirit of adventure, this desire to see what's over the horizon, to push our limits, to, leave our mark. That's something we still connect with today. Don't you think?
100%. They remind us, even when life's chaotic, uncertain, there's beauty in embracing the unknown, forging your own path, staying true to who you are, even when everything's changing.
Well said. And on that note, I think we've reached the end of our Viking voyage here, our deep dive into this culture that it keeps fascinating us. I hope you've enjoyed the journey as much as we have.
Me too. And I hope you'll keep exploring, keep asking questions.
That's it for this deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring. And as always, thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening to the 10-Minute Time Machine. If you enjoyed today's episode, leave a like, comment, or share. Follow us on Spotify, YouTube, and social media for more.